Hi everybody, welcome to 12.6. We are doing metric units of length. Please open your Go Math book to page 673. Now, for the last little bit, we've been learning about the customary system, which is the system you and I use to measure things of length. So feet, inches, yards, miles, etc. Now, we are one of the very few countries that uses the customary system. Almost everyone else uses the metric system, and hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll see why the metric system is very, very helpful. This is also the system that scientists use when they do science. They usually use the metric system because it's really easy to work with. Okay, we have another awesome investigate, and unfortunately, since we are not together, we can't do the hands-on version. So I've found some pictures to help us along the way. So there's some big vocabulary words that you got introduced to yesterday in your Nearpod. We've got meters, decimeters, centimeters, and millimeters. These are all metric units of length. So in the investigate, it really wants us to cut out some strips and make our own meter stick. Now, since we were unable to do that, I have a graphic here to help us. So 1 meter consists of lots of decimeters and going end to end. So let's go ahead and count how many decimeters are in 1 meter. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 10 decimeters in 1 meter. So if we come over here, 1 meter is 10 times as long as 1 decimeter. So that's 1 meter. Now, if we're looking at decimeters and we take this section right here and we break it down into smaller parts, we get 1 decimeter. And 1 decimeter is made up of smaller parts called centimeters. So let's count how many centimeters are in 1 decimeter. So we've got 1, goes all the way up to 10. So there is also 10 centimeters in 1 decimeter. So 1 decimeter is 10 times as long as 1 centimeter. I don't know if you're seeing a pattern here. Okay, and if we take that 1 centimeter and we break it down even further, a centimeter is made up of millimeters. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So 1 centimeter is 10 times as long as, or 1 centimeter is 10 times as long as 1 millimeter. So if we look at the pattern we see here, each unit of measurement is 10 times larger than the next smallest one. So each unit is 10 times the length of the previous unit. So all of them follow that same pattern. So rather than having to remember there are 12 inches in a foot and 3 feet in a yard, etc., we just know that each one is 10 times larger. Okay, let's go to our next example. So we're going to be making some connections. You can use different metric units to describe the same length. For example, you can measure the length of a book as 3 decimeters or as 30 centimeters. Since the metric system is based on the number 10, decimals or fractions can be used to describe the metric lengths as equivalent units. So think of our 1 meter as a whole. Use your meter strip to write down the equivalent units. So we know that 1 meter is equal to 10 decimeters, which means that each decimeter is 1/10 as a fraction, or 1/10 written as a decimal, of a meter. Now, if we're looking at centimeters, there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter, which means that each centimeter is 1 1/100th or 1/100th of a meter. Remember those decimals and fractions that we practiced. So let's go ahead and see if we can apply that to some numbers. A length of 51 centimeters is 51 hundredths or 51 hundredths of a meter. The length of 8 decimeters is 8 tenths or 8 tenths of a meter. Because remember, our decimeters are 1/10 and our centimeters are 100. Last but not least, 82 centimeters is 82 hundredths or 82 hundredths. Now I can write them either way. We've got our pattern of fractions here where the bottom or the denominator is 100, or we have our pattern of decimals where we have our decimal place representing numbers smaller than 1. Okay, let's turn to our share and show. This is where things really start to pull together. So we're going to go ahead and do number 1 together. Then I want you to try 2 and 3 on your own and pause the video. So we have 2 meters equals how many centimeters? Well, if I come over here to my conversion table, I'm looking for meters. Okay. 1 meter equals 10 decimeters. Is that what I'm looking for? Nope, I'm looking for centimeters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters. So that means I need to take that 2 meters and multiply by 100, which gets me 200. So there are 200 centimeters in 2 meters. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and then press play when you're ready to correct. Okay, welcome back. We have 3 centimeters equals how many millimeters? So if I come up to my table, 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So I take 3 and multiply by 10. 3 times 10 is 30. So there are 30 millimeters in 3 centimeters. 5 decimeters to centimeters. I'm changing decimal meters to centimeters. There are 10 centimeters in 1 decimeter, so I multiply again by 10. So you can see the multiplication is much easier when we're only multiplying by 10 and 100. 5 times 10 is 50. Okay, all right, let's do number 4 together, and then I want you to do 5, 6, and 7 on your own. Okay, which one is greater, 4 meters or 40 decimeters? Well, I know that meters are larger than decimeters, so I'm going to change this one to decimeters. I know that there are 10 decimeters in a meter, so I'm going to multiply 4 times 10 equals 40 decimeters. So 40 and 40 are equal. Okay, go ahead and pause the video to check 5, 6, and 7. Okay, welcome back. We have 5 centimeters versus 5 millimeters. Now, both of these are the same numbers, so I don't really need to change them, but I'm going to look at the bottom, the unit to help me. I know that centimeters are 10 times bigger than millimeters, so that tells me that this 5 is bigger than that 5. So I've got 5 times 10, which equals 50. So there are 50 millimeters in 5 centimeters. 50 is way bigger than 5. Okay, I've got 6 decimeters and 65 centimeters. Decimeters are larger than centimeters, so I'm going to change decimeters to centimeters by multiplying by 10, which equals 60 centimeters. Okay, which one's larger, 60 centimeters or 65 centimeters? 65. Okay, number 7. I have 7 meters or 700 millimeters. Well, I know that meters are larger than millimeters. I'm going to convert those over. And there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So I'm going to take that 7 and multiply by 1,000, which is going to give me 7,000 millimeters. Well, 7,000 millimeters is greater than 700 millimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and say that one's greater. Okay, let's look at number 8 together and then do 9, 10, and 11 on your own. So let's read the directions first because that's always really important. Describe the length in meters. Okay, we're describing it in meters. Write your answer as a fraction and as a decimal. So 65 centimeters. Now there are 100 centimeters in a meter. So it is 6,500 hundredths as a fraction and 6,500 hundredths as a decimal. Okay, go ahead and press pause. Do 9, 10, and 11 on your own. And then click play when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, welcome back. Let's look at number 9. 47 centimeters is blank meters. Well, centimeters are 100. There's 100 centimeters in a meter. So it's 47 hundredths or 47 hundredths. Notice how the decimal place is in front of the 4. Okay, 9 decimeters is equal to how many meters? Well, there are 10 decimeters in a meter, so it's 9/10 of a meter or 9/10 of a meter. Notice how my 9 is in the tenths place, which is right after the decimal. Okay, 2 decimeters, 2/10 or 2/10. Okay, that is it for our lesson today. Please go ahead and work on your practice in your Google form. If you have any questions, please go ahead and message me.